Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew.
I'm Jared.
I'm AJ.
And we are Liberal White Dudes. Tonight's episode is called Conspiracy, and we're going to talk a little bit about various conspiracy theories that are being thrown around right now, and some that happened last year, because I found an interesting reporting from NPR just for the baseline before moving into the craziness that is our current situation. First, I want to chat just a little bit about the MyPillow guy.
Oh man, yes.
Has stuff come out about the MyPillow guy?
Well, so I don't recall if we've ever discussed the MyPillow guy at all here, but so he's an ardent Trump supporter. He has regular meetings, I guess, with Sidney Powell, and they talk through some nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, he went to the White House. Where the MyPillow guy shouldn't be.
Yeah, just
senior advisor to the president, the MyPillow guy.
Yeah, I'd like to point out. Apparently, the president doesn't have time to address the hundreds of thousands of Americans that are dead or the coronavirus pandemic, but he has time for the CEO MyPillow guy.
Yeah.
In the Oval Office. So there's that guy.
I've seen edited pictures of him, of like the MyPillow guy with like where it's supposed to be a pillow, that's Trump's butt instead.
I will drop that in.
I just wasn't clear. I wasn't clear on the connection really there. I just think it's funny on its own.
No, he's a huge Trump supporter and a senior advisor to the president without the title. It is, I mean, it's really basically any buffoon, any,
Mm-hmm. Well, did you hear about what happened with this?
Yes. Yeah. So go.
So he goes in with a parent. We are days away from Biden's inauguration. Trump has just been impeached for the second time in history, and MyPillow guy's in the Oval Office with evidence of voter fraud. and he's entertaining this meeting with this guy about this. So he's looking at this stuff. It's ridiculous stuff. And Trump just kind of says, I need to give it to my lawyers. And then the MyPillow guy waits around for like an hour or so. And then eventually they come to him. They're just like, sorry, the president's not going to be able to see you anymore. Just can you fuck off?
And
so he left. Apparently, and it was just like, again, total nonsense that I'm sure advisors looked at and were like, can we not do this, please?
Yeah. They got photographs of him leaving where they could see his notes. And so even the notes were like, how to continue to plan insurrection, basically. It's like, let go of the CIA director, put in an acting director, it's this guy. I mean, it's really still like, how to take over the government stuff. The MyPillow guy.
Oh, the MyPillow guy.
He's trying to stage a coup of his own?
Yeah.
He's trying to plan a coup?
Yeah.
Help.
He's in on it.
Yeah, the president plan a coup. So if you have the opportunity to buy a MyPillow, don't do that.
Just don't.
I don't know if they have a contact us form, or maybe you could tell him a little bit about how you feel about his anti-American activities. But if they do, I'm not saying that you should totally flood that or his Yelp reviews or any of
and
his
I will say,
social media.
Getting a quality pillow I know is important, but there are alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many alternatives.
Just saying that.
Sarah Cooper, who I was unfamiliar with prior to Twitter, but she's a comedian and whatever, and she posted that she's like, Biden. We have no idea if he has a pillow guy or not. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
No idea what
important.
What his pillow habits are.
Does he get a good night's sleep based on his pillow?
Yeah.
Does that change his presidency? It does for me.
Well, he doesn't have that kind of advisement coming from that corner, that very valid corner.
Yeah, well-known
pillow sector.
MyPillow guy. Oof.
Anyway. I'm sure it was a borderline new cabinet post, to be honest. It almost probably was.
Yeah, pillow guy. Secretary of Health and Human Services. Speaking of cabinet members, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Azar, that guy decided to put in his resignation effective the 20th of January.
Yeah, saw that. Nothing. Yeah.
Isn't that when he?
Yeah, I mean, he'll have about 12 hours there where he would have had to do the job, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Nothing
part of me,
nothing like leaving in protest minutes before your shift's over.
Yeah,
your last
exactly.
day of work.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
really?
there's no. I mean, part of me is just like, what? I mean, that's kind of par for the course. These guys do basically the dumbest things in the dumbest way possible, right? But another part of me is like, why doesn't he want to be there specifically on Inauguration Day?
Right.
That's a good point.
You know, these
Something
people who are
concerned.
pulling the ripcord like days before, do they know something that we don't? And again, this title of this episode is conspiracy. So,
Right.
you know,
Just so
I
inspiring.
have
Wouldn't be
no
complete without
evidence
that.
of any sort of, you know, inauguration
you
plan
this.
nonsense.
But I'll tell you this: you've got just as much as Rudy Giuliani will go to the Supreme Court with in his hand right now.
Yeah.
Anything
good
that you're
point.
about to say or spew on this program tonight is about what they had walking into the
We just
Supreme
need
Court.
Yeah.
everyone that's viewed our sample video, do us a favor and sign an affidavit that says, and we'll be set.
Hey! I signed something that says if I'm wrong, I
you?
can go to prison. Did you?
Did you?
Yeah.
All right, I want to play a little game here. So I have this NPR study. They polled a ton of folks, and they said some correct statements. They said some incorrect statements, and they wanted to know whether it was basically a true or false test. True, false, I don't know. Those were the three options. So I'm going to read one of them.
Sure.
Each of
Okay.
you go true, false, or I don't know.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready.
Super ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
First statement. COVID-19 was created in a lab in China.
False.
I'm going to say that's false as well.
That is false. 40% of people thought it was true. 29%
Oh, no.
of people said, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
you're
yeah.
at 69% of people don't know that that's false.
Wow.
So, and again, this was last year. So, but.
Both of us should have been wrong about this, and we were both right. So we're just in the minority, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Humans landed on the moon in the late 60s and 70s.
True.
Yeah, that happened.
72% of people said that was true.
That makes me feel a
That's-
little better.
that's
Seems
not a
like
good
still
number.
less than it should be.
Still less than it should be. How is that possible?
20% of people said, I don't know. So for me, I'm like, maybe they just don't know what time frame that was. Maybe they don't know that it was the late 60s and 70s.
They don't know when.
Yeah.
that happened.
Maybe they're thrown off by the date range.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
Yeah.
thinking
And
that's the trick
8%
here.
of people said false.
Sure.
All right, here's another one. Humans do not play a significant role in climate change.
Sorry, you're confusing me with the double
That's
negatives.
false.
They
I'm gonna
don't.
say.
So false. Right.
Yes, 69% of people said false. So about the same.
Good Lord.
14%
Wait.
I don't know.
Wait, but there's a discrepancy there between people that feel like we landed on the moon and then our climate change.
No, it's the same folks.
Yeah.
About
It seems
70%
like it's
of
it's
folks.
About
Okay.
70%
It's
of
about
people,
70
right?
still.
Yeah,
Again, I just want to make a point that is such a low number.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
only
3
just
in
under
10
70%
people. If you
will
have
say
a
that.
room full of 20 folks,
6 of them.
yeah, 6 of them will be either unsure or opposed to the statement. Yeah.
Wow.
There is no evidence vaccinations cause autism.
There is no evidence. True.
Yeah. I would say that's true. There's no evidence that does that.
That is true, and 51% of people said true.
Golly.
Oh my goodness, that's so much worse than I thought.
Now, I will say the phrasing of that again, something very, very definitive. Like there is no evidence. I mean, even a sliver, people will be like, okay, well then I guess there's some. It's like, no, there's still none.
There's still
But
none.
If you're gonna be like, I work in only these,
Yeah, these
either it is or
absolutes.
it is not absolutes, then
What percentage
maybe
is I
can
don't
see
know?
people being
So
like,
37% is I don't know.
see, and I'd say
So that's
most
a
of those would probably
large
lean
swath.
towards. I would say a lot of the I don't knows would lean towards it doesn't, but they don't want to say definitively no. But still, that's not a great number.
Yeah, and
So I agree,
12% say false.
That's
So-
a horrible number.
That's horrendous.
Yeah.
12% is so many. That's so
That's
many
people
people.
saying that they know that there's evidence that vaccinations cause autism. 12%. That's high. Barack
A lot of
Obama
folks.
was born in the United States.
True.
That is true.
That is true, yeah. And 60% of people.
Oh, why are we so racist? Everyone just calm
He
down.
was president of the United States.
He's
You
president.
can't be
have
president of
to
the
be
United
born
States
in
unless
the
you were
US.
born in the United States.
Can I
So
say for the record, I don't know if I want to play this game every week. It makes me sad.
It's
fine, okay.
so sad.
But I'm
How do we-
struggling with these numbers.
Is it that people don't know that you have to be born in America to be the president? Is that what it is, or is it just because he's black?
I mean, there's a
Is
lot.
that what
There's a
it is?
lot there. I think in order to come to the conclusion,
Yeah.
you know, or not even
So
be
much-
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
much
mean,
lying
that's a
and conspiracy
19%
mixed in that,
false.
you know?
That's a
Golly.
19% false.
Oh,
Believe a
crikey.
2-term president.
Yeah,
Wasn't
even
born
born
in
in
the
this
United
country.
States.
yeah.
Ugh,
Now they didn't
people are so
do,
racist.
at least according to this, they didn't do any follow-ups where they said, "Do you know who that is?"
Right.
You know, like people
That's
might
a
have
good
heard the
point.
name. They're like Barack
Barack
Obama.
Obama.
Barack Obama.
Doesn't
Nah,
sound
that's
American.
not
ringing any
American.
bells.
It's just so bad. Racism
Yikes.
transcends just like all logical thought. I think at this point,
Well, yeah.
like it's just so.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it
I
does,
know
right?
it's an irrational. I know it's an irrational thing inherently, but like to the point where you're like, nah, the president,
Nah.
he's not American. You have to be. You literally have to
Yeah,
be.
it's one of the rules.
the only way you can. Get
And it's
the
not like they
job.
fudge it. There's kind of like,
No.
I mean, it's fine.
I mean,
There's
he moved
no
here
point in the
when he was-
process
That's
of they
not how that
like.
works.
I mean, you weren't born in America, but it's fine.
Shrug. That's not how we do, really.
No. All right, one more. The majority of protests that occurred this summer were violent.
False.
It's also false.
It is false.
Yeah.
38% of people said false.
Okay.
16% said not sure. 47% said true. So that's like the
Yeah.
worst one for, you know, just the misinformation and the, you know, I mean, because, you know, and again, people go back to that online all the time. If you're in any sort of forum or you're in any sort of social media, you see people talking about how violent and crazy the looting and the
BLM
rioting and
protests
the
were.
burning of buildings and all that was last summer. But that's because it was on loop on Fox,
Right.
on, you know.
Yeah, when you look at the actual list of the damage, it's like, well, compared to how many actual organized protests took place in this country and all over the world, I'd say it's a small portion of them ended in any kind of this activity.
Yeah.
Yet, like you said, every single protest, peaceful protest, was labeled a violent, occurrence because that's how
That's
the
how they've
media
always
played
that's-
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how the Republicans always do that messaging. That's how it's always been since the civil rights movement. They always do that. They say that you're a rioter or that you're anti-American. That's how they painted the civil rights movement too. It's part of their tactic. And because I think of how prevalent Fox News is and their horrendous messaging about that, like I think that I think it's just so much disinformation can be spread so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they're backing off of calling the people on the 6th what they were,
yeah.
Right.
Insurrectionists, terrorists. I mean, there's a lot of different words.
Because they don't
seditionists.
hate protesters, they don't hate rioters, they hate black people. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
It's so
Right.
horrendous.
I'm not saying there's
just-
any sort of rubric or like
No.
this is a
Right,
puzzle
no.
that has no answer.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Hey,
clear.
all they are saying is it's just time to heal and move on. Yes, there was an attack on our democracy. Yes, the president of the United States incited a mob that attacked the Capitol and was looking to murder members of Congress. But we just need to heal and unify, okay? Like, that's really what we need to do.
You
That's
know
really
what?
what we
You
need to
make
focus on
right
you
now.
make a solid argument.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
almost
when
like-
you think about it,
Why have I
think
been
about it.
lingering on this whole thing?
Yeah.
talking about the attack on our democracy when we should be trying to heal as a country, obviously.
Mhm.
So that's all they're trying to get out there, guys.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Jesus.
Just
Don't save that clip. Don't isolate that.
That's
clip.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
isolate
And
that
then
for our
just-
next commercial. Let's go out to
Yeah.
everybody. This is how
Definitely
AJ
get
feels
those,
about it. Come on down.
Yeah, right.
Another reason that we're talking about conspiracy today is it's a lot of folks in our just general vicinity and general community who have bought into a lot of this stuff. And when you go down the rabbit hole
Have they?
of your neighbors, it's kind of crazy. I say kind of.
Very.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm going to
It's
read you
disturbing. Yeah.
a public Facebook post from someone in my community. Here we go. Round 1 of the Patriot Roundup has begun. So this is in reference to
People going after the folks in the Capitol.
Terrorists
correct.
getting arrested, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Here we go. The people will be complacent thinking that those getting rounded up have done something wrong, as the traitor politicians and news are stating. Then round 2 gets rid of patriots who've done nothing wrong.
Did you
Okay.
just say the first Patriots had done
Is
nothing
this
wrong?
wait? So is this prophecy now?
But people
Yeah.
will look the other way, assuming these people did something wrong, until they themselves get rounded up. So basically,
Wasn't phase 2 the same as phase 1?
And she's paraphrasing the whole like first they came for it, right? So, but here's
Right.
here's the kicker: the last 2 sentences.
Yeah.
That's how the Nazis did it. That's how this will happen now.
I feel like people forget that they were the Nazis.
Yeah, I mean it has been a little over a week.
Yeah,
I
you guys
could
are the
see how
Nazis.
you'd
What
forget
do you mean?
that you're the Nazis. You're the fascists. You're saying F anti-fascism. That's your
Yeah, there was something I
slogan
saw-
and your
there was something I saw that was
chant.
There was something I saw that was like anti-Antifa, and the header was just now simplify your fraction. Because
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I mean,
That's good.
The,
Fascist.
yeah.
what's fascist? You just
That's
have
what
a
it is.
fascist. You just write fascist across your chest, and that worked just as well. Ugh.
The,
Well, like you said, that's a direct quote from someone in our community in
Yeah.
a blue state.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I mean, this and again, I ended up down a rabbit hole there, and was able to find some people who own local businesses and things like that, which is nice because then I can never go there, right?
Never ever go there.
vote
And tell
with my
anyone
dollars.
who mentions it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and anytime
Never
that
go
they get anywhere near it, because I read a thing that was sort of an Inglourious Bastards thing that was like, you're going to take that MAGA hat off after the inauguration. Well, that's something
Right.
that I can't abide. and
Right.
and it's like, I agree with that. I think if you fly
Yeah.
a Confederate flag outside of your house, you should have to fly it outside of your business, and you should have to wear it on your arm. And yes, that's offensive, and I'd rather you didn't do those things, but
If
it
you're
lets
gonna,
me know where
Yeah.
you're at and lets me know
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have said that the racism's been way more out in the open in this whole Trump thing, right? And in some respects, like, that's better. Like, how do
You're
we
right.
ostracize these people? How do we, just
Yeah.
shut them down when they've been underground? I don't want them in power, for God's sake.
no,
Right.
heavens no.
But,
Yeah.
your Boberts
like you
and your
said, you don't
Gomerts
even-
and your Gogurts and your, all these random Congress people, your Hollies.
Right. Well, because it's even at a local level. I mean, in the towns and cities we live in America, it's the same thing. Like, obviously, you don't want a person like Trump in office. I don't want someone as my representative in my county
Yeah.
that flies a Confederate flag outside their house.
Yeah.
So
You're a seditionist.
yeah.
You're on the side of,
Yeah.
you call
Flag
yourself
of
a
a traitor.
patriot.
I mean,
yeah,
the
but
fact that we've
you are
the fact that
un-American.
we've already
Agreed.
decided and that we've messaged for so long that the Confederate flag isn't exactly that is part of the reason that this is happening the way that it is. I think because of the way that we treated, especially the way that the South treated the South after the Civil War, with all of their fair to the South textbooks and all of their
Right.
all that stuff. I
Well,
feel
it's
like
just the
that really
glorification
starts
of
there.
their cause.
Yes.
Their
The
racist
glorification
cause.
of
Yeah.
racism and the glorification
Yep.
of what's the word that I'm thinking of? I guess just traitors. I guess I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Seditionists.
Seditionists.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Well, I mean, even before the attack on the Capitol, we've always known the Confederate flag is a banner of hate, and of seditionists, and of traitors, and Trump's favorite word, of massive losers, like the biggest losers,
massive losers,
like really big losers, like the kind of losers that got together and tried to overthrow their government and then were put back in their place
and then lost.
Walk their asses back down south, like massive losers. That's what that flag is.
Yes.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Somebody was showing that like every 70 years you have a flag like that, you know. It was the Civil War, and then it was the Nazis, and now it's the Trumpsters. You know?
And now it's the Trump flags. Because the Trump flags, you guys lost. You guys lost twice. You lost twice. You got impeached twice. Oh. You guys are big losers. You guys are big losers. Yeah. Like, that's just...
And it's hard to rack up when you count all the court cases they lost, too. I mean, this was a season of losing.
62.
A season of
62.
Losing. 62.
62 lost things, 2 lost elections, technically. I guess you won one off of a technicality, electoral college nonsense, but we're not counting that one for my sake.
I mean, he definitely earned those 2 impeachments, so they might put that in the win column, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, once the trial happens in the Senate, I don't, you know, it'll be symbolic or whatever, but
sure,
being that Democrats have control of the Senate, and McConnell's sort of hinted that he's, you know,
on board for this thing.
Yeah, it might pull some folks. You know, there's a whole difference between, and that's one of the things down these rabbit holes that I was noticing is that people are like, you know, these liberals hate conservatives, and aren't they supposed to be the people of tolerance? It's like, I don't hate conservatives.
Right.
You're not a conservative.
I despise the what about the tolerant left argument so much. When people are like, what about the tolerant left? Why are you being tolerant of these literal Nazis? I'll tell you why. Yeah. Because they're Nazis. Because they're trying to destroy the fabric of our government. I don't have any space for those people. Yeah. That's the tolerance stops at people who don't respect tolerance.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's I have an intolerance for intolerance.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I cannot abide your hate. That's what it is.
That's it.
I'm intolerant of your hate.
Yep. Yeah. I'm tolerant of your political views and things that are worth discussing.
Absolutely.
Believe me, I am extremely tolerant of where my parents are coming from as conservatives. Yeah. If there was ever a definition of tolerating, I'm very tolerant of my parents' conservative views. Very tolerant of them.
Yep.
But there is a point where you don't tolerate hate.
Yeah.
And bigotry. You don't
there's
tolerate
no space.
There's
no space for that. There's no space in that in a civilized community at all, in my opinion. I don't think that there's any room for, like, especially hate that is unfounded. Just because you decided you feel that way. It's just,
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. Is that these conspiracies, once they gain hold, there's no moving the needle once these folks decide that something's true. I'm not somebody who can decide that something's true, and then regardless of what's put in front of me, I have already decided this is true. I don't spend any time on whether or not I prefer white or wheat toast. I decided I like wheat toast. And it's like, well, try this, and then like, that's really delicious. It may taste better, but I like wheat toast. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
They just chose. They just chose what they wanted to believe and then gone with that. That's the reason. That's the reason that the internet is so dangerous too, is because stuff like the Flat Earth Society has grown exponentially since people have been able to really talk about it on the internet. Regardless of how stupid and dumb it is, they have conventions.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I have a relative. I have a relative who is a flat earther. Just gonna say that, like a relative, like a person, and that I don't talk to very often, but. They are a flat earther. I'm not making that up.
They're convinced that the earth is flat, and I just cannot get my head around that.
Yeah, I mean, the internet has done a much better job of corralling people like that together.
Yes.
You know, it's a lot easier to believe in a flat earth if you can point to at least 3 other people who also believe that. Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder when there's no one around you who believes it.
Right. And like you said, in some ways, that exposure has been beneficial in being able to kind of organize these Nazis in their own little boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it also has exposed something I think a lot of us were not prepared to learn, which was that our neighbors are Nazis.
Yeah.
Our bosses are Nazis.
and
our
that
relatives
they're
are Nazis.
yeah, and they're also turning people. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a recruitment element to the internet where,
Mm.
you know,
Oh yeah,
a dumb
I have
guy who
adopted
may not
children.
have been
Yeah.
a white supremacist, you know, turns that way from hearing things that sound perfectly reasonable to him, and he shows up at a meeting and doesn't realize, and then he like starts to learn these guys, and they just kind of wear on him,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
he's just like, you know what, you might be right, I may be the victim in this society.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
no, you're
not
not, man.
unlike
Farther.
it's not unlike recruitment of any other terrorist organization.
Yeah.
And anybody
Yeah.
who works in
Grooming.
anti-terrorism will tell you that's how it works. Yeah, and I mean, look, I have kids, adopted kids that are Latino, and they've experienced racism and stuff from a very political perspective in middle school, in high school. So I mean, these are people that are bringing their kids up to believe this way as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
there is not only is there recruitment and grooming that comes from just the outreach on social media and the way that these groups operate and their platforms, but I mean it's like kind of how it always been in terms of people raising their kids to be racist.
Yeah.
It starts there too.
It's like a
You know,
family
yeah.
heirloom.
Racism begats racism begats
A
racism.
really, really gross heirloom.
Yeah.
Just a disgusting, horrendous heirloom.
Just a disgustingly gross heirloom, guys.
This is possibly the worst heirloom you can pass down to your children.
Really bad.
Bigotry.
Yeah.
Just maybe
really
don't.
bad.
Maybe make
Just
up.
don't.
Let them make up their own mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just meet some folks. Let them out, go into the world, and decide whether or not they have unnecessary hate.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I suggest to anyone that believes any of the things like, what I just read, the mental gymnastics that it takes to think that the left
Right.
are fascists, the left are Nazis.
Yeah.
How do you even speak to somebody like that? Like, how do you get across your message of, wow, that's totally batshit crazy what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that they think,
you know what I mean?
the fact that they even think that, like, I think it's just because they have such a fundamental misunderstanding of what government even is. And it's transcendent of, like, because of the way that the misinformation has been spread all this time. Like, people think that being banned off of Twitter is an interruption of their First Amendment right.
Yeah.
Like, that's how off the base people are from understanding how the government works. And I don't know how you fix that without really, like, much better schooling, basically. And that is a ground up sort of thing that we have to really, really focus on in order to change anything, I think, at this point. I think the way you stop conspiracism is by teaching people what actually happened. I think that's
Well, I know
you can't
that
stop
the
it. You can't stop
pandemic
it.
has amped up the anti-government inside of that. It's funny because it's one thing that the right and left agree on. We don't like our government. They don't do anything well. I mean, there's a lot of things there that just check all the boxes, right? Our government could do things better.
Sure.
They take too much of our money. Like we're in agreement on that. These are things where we can really meet in the middle and say, hey, let's do some things to make this government better. And maybe we don't even talk about your racism for now.
Right.
I don't know.
I do think it's funny though that so many of them who are so angry at how our government has fumbled the ball, it's like, yeah, but your president was the one in charge. Like, does he hold any bearing responsibility? Does he bear that weight at all? Of course not.
Yeah.
Why
He
would
said
he?
out
Because
loud
again,
that he doesn't.
it does not matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Facts, what really happened, it doesn't apply to these people.
Yeah. And they're also like, they're probably going to shut us down again. And it's like, I can see your Facebook. You haven't been shut down at all. You've been all over the place.
Right.
And it's people like you that have caused this pandemic to spread. And it's people like you that have caused it to continue to spread. And you're the reason that we're looking at another possible lockdown is because there are thousands of people every day dying of this disease.
Because they walk around like you, pretend like it doesn't exist, or pretend like masks don't work, even though the scientific basis does not back you at all. They pretend that the vaccine won't work because they don't understand how vaccines even work. It's you.
Yeah.
It's you. You are the reason this is continuing to happen, and I hate you. How's that? Put a pen on it.
It's Jared coming in hot.
Yeah, I will. This whole episode, dude, I'm warmed up.
It's funny, one thing you did mention how, they're very anti-vax for various reasons, and I've seen a lot of the weird conspiracies, the chips, the 5G. I was literally listening to a report on NPR last week. I'm not making this up. They actually talked about it. There were people in a small town, and they were talking about how so many of the elderly, especially, did not want to get the vaccine because they thought it was the mark of the beast. Now, if you are unfamiliar with what the term mark of the beast is, if you are religious and you grew up Christian or potentially Catholic, this is discussed in Revelation, and they believe that this mark will, be a factor in the end times. But the bottom line is, I've seen this fear of like it's gonna have all your information, and I'm like,
That's gonna microchip you. I've seen that.
You're on social media with all of your information.
Yeah, and
like,
the phone in your
have
pocket
it.
is GPSed. That knows where you are 100% of the time. It knows who you are. They have your social security number because they ran your credit. All of they mailed you the phone, so they have your ad. I mean, you're not off the grid, you weirdo.
If you allow your microphone.
That if you are Jeremiah Johnson and you live in the mountains and you're off the grid, and I mean, if you've really committed to that lifestyle, you're the only, and I mean this in sincerity, you're the only person allowed to be like, I don't trust that. I'm like, you know what? You back that up. You don't trust that shit.
You live the lifestyle that you don't.
Also, he's not going to get it.
He's not going to get it.
That's the nice thing about being off the grid in the woods, right? You're not going to get COVID.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he gets the pass. The one person that actually gets to stand up and be like, you know what? I don't trust this government and I don't trust that vaccine. I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. I mean, you clearly don't.
You don't trust anything.
But you're also not a danger to society. You live in the mountains. So it's different, when your kid goes to my kid's school, okay?
Apologies to people in the South for you having the most ignorant sounding mouths.
Oh man.
Always end up affecting that accent. Like, I don't trust that vaccine. There's some perfectly nice people in the South who are perfectly intelligent. Right. They just never sound that way.
Yeah, that's part of your accent, man. I'm sorry. We're sorry. The same way that British people, like high-end British people, always sound smart. It's just
and
part
evil.
Of it. And evil.
Yeah, they're always the bad guy.
They're always evil.
Open their mouth. You're like, that's the bad guy.
That guy's
British
evil.
No matter what. Yeah, no matter what nationality they're supposed to be. In most films, the Nazis are really British.
Yes. It's like a double whammy. British Nazis.
Yeah. Go back and watch Valkyrie with Tom Cruise.
Yes.
You'll be like,
wait,
why do all these Nazis speak with a British accent?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Why is Kenneth Branagh always doing Nazi cosplay? Like, what's his what is his deal?
It's worth asking.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. Take a little time. If you are reading about something and it sounds like, hey, maybe this is nuts. Or I've never really considered this. Spend a little time outside of whatever chat board you're on. And maybe listen to people who know what the hell they're talking about.
Some scientists.
Just
look up
just a couple of scientists.
Information.
Please.
Yeah.
If you look to one side and the guy next to you is, eating his own feces, and the guy to your left is like trying to figure out how he can get some. Maybe you're with the wrong group.
Maybe you're with the wrong folks. Maybe
That's a telltale sign.
Maybe NASA isn't conspiring. Maybe they just know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's possible, and
that's what we call in the business game a red flag.
Yes.
Fecal consumption.
Big red flag.
Big red flag.
It's up there.
I would like to apologize to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We were not able to get her on our conspiracy episode, which is unfortunate because she had a really good story about a viral tweet that she didn't send that went viral in the screenshot fashion.
Right.
She did not say that stuff. And the thing is, the stuff that was said is so ridiculous. It's like, of course she never said that. I can see if you're going to fake a tweet and send it out, it has to be somewhere near believably true.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I can believe that, right?
But as we've learned, a remarkable number of the population will believe that shit. They'll retweet that shit. They'll post that stuff. And they will swear by it on a Bible because it's AOC, because it's a liberal, because they want they want it to be true so bad.
There was a fake tweet about Ben Shapiro wanting to bang his sister, and then a picture of his sister, and it was like, I was like, I really wanted that to be true because that's
I
it
it's
was
probably
like
not.
easy to drag him for, right? But I spent like
Yeah.
literally 2 minutes, and it's not true. He didn't ever tweet that. And I was like,
Don't get us wrong, Ben Shapiro is a horrible person, and
Yeah,
there's plenty
garbage.
of reasons to hate him.
Yeah, terrible.
Plenty
guy.
of reasons to hate that garbage guy, but not that reason.
Yeah, not public incest apparently.
Yeah, not
None of that.
incest.
That's probably not true. That's not true.
Yeah. So, thanks again, everyone, for showing up. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us over there on Twitter, and then you can go to Facebook and throw us a couple of likes. We are here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Good night.
Yeah, and can I say real quick also, zero fix for conspiracy from me.
Yeah.
It's a hate. It's a hate.
Some of it's
I gotta
funny.
give one.
Yeah.
They're pretty entertaining.
I gotta kick another humor fig out to conspiracy.
I know you're
humor
hot on it
figs.
though, Jared. I get it.
I guess the humor.
We always talk Jared into some figs for everything.
Because
He's like, zero figs for Nazis, and I'm like, well, those uniforms are pretty sharp.
Yeah. You guys are just always convincing me that something is worth a fig. I don't give a
That's
fig.
a joke. We still give.
Yes, no, zero figs for Nazis.
They go for Nazis.
All right.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Liberal white